So from our homepage, click the big blue button, and then you're going to scroll down underneath my meme for the day and underneath the Zoom link. And you want to click on the period 3 link right there. Morning, Niles.
Good morning.
Morning, Sydney. Niles and Sydney, I introduced our student teacher, Ms. Yeager. And we are getting into the Desmos for today. So if you click on the period 3 link, you're going to do the continue without signing in thing. There we go. Awesome, awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and pull that up on my end as well. There we go. Morning, Justice.
What if we're already signed in? Because it says, welcome.
Oh, it's got your name?
Yeah.
Don't worry about it then. If you've already signed in, that's totally fine. Sydney, it's not as much of a big deal for us here at the high school level, but according to ASC, according to the bigwigs over at in administration, I'm not supposed to have you guys use the Google login here. And they've only kind of given me some of the reasons for it, but it pertains more to the younger kids than to you guys. So if you've used your Google login, that's fine with me. I'm supposed to give directions that you would do the continue without signing in part. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we are just waiting on Justice. For those of you that are already in though, let me go ahead and give you directions on what you want to be doing. So we're going to start off. I've got a description of a situation here. It says taxi companies in Chicago typically charge an initial fee of $2.25 and $1.80 for each mile. This must be very old. I wish that was true. For those of you that just joined us, Tristan and Alex, we are in a Desmos today. So just real quick directions on how to get in there in case you don't remember. Here we go. Click on the big blue button on our class homepage. That's going to take you here. You want to scroll underneath the meme and underneath the Zoom link. Click on the period 3 link down here, and that will take you into Desmos. You'll click on the button that says continue without signing in, type in your name, click go, and then you can hop into the Desmos here. What I want you guys to do on this first screen here is I want you to identify the slope. So you're going to type it in here. If you think the slope is 5, you'll push 5 and then submit. It'll tell you whether you're right or wrong on your slope. And then once you have gotten the slope correct, I want you to tell me what it means in the context of this situation right here, talking about the taxi companies in Chicago. What does that slope mean in the context of the situation? So type in your slope, click submit. Maybe you think it's 100 and then you click submit. Nope, not 100. What is the slope? What is the rate of change? Once you have correctly identified the slope, you've gotten a thumbs up, then you're going to come over here and you're going to type what it means in the context of taxi companies in Chicago. Nice work. Looks like I'm missing somebody. Who am I missing? Alex, are you having trouble getting in, dear? else am I missing? Sydney, Tamari, Niles, Justice, Kyla, Tristan, Jada. Oh, there you are. I see you now. Alex, if you don't know how to get in, let me know. You can send me a direct message in the chat. So everybody should be working on finding the slope, unless you are done with that already. And then typing in the meaning of the slope in the context. Oh, Alex, what you might try, are you using the browser or the app? The app, okay. So when you're in the app, you want to go up into the, I think it's the upper left-hand corner. It might be the upper right-hand corner. It'll look like a little dashed line, and that'll give you different options for how to see the other participants. It'll have a thumbnail view. It will have a grid view. It'll have speaker view or presenter view. You can choose one of those options. All right, I'm going to present these snapshots real quick. So looking at, oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Here we go. Looking at our slope question and the meaning of it in context. The slope was 1.8 or 1.80. Meaning in context, these are for the answers that we got. The taxi companies will charge an additional, I like that, additional $1.80 per mile. Taxi companies charge $1.80 for each mile. Each mile is a $1.80 charge. You will be charged $1.80 for each mile traveled. Love these. Got it. Alex, I wish I could help you a little bit more. Hopefully listening and being able to get into the Desmos as we talk through some of these things, that will help. Do you know how to get into the Desmos? Because I can go through that again. I can just kind of talk you through that. Because once you're able to get into the Desmos, that's most of what you're going to be seeing. All right, so as long as you have answered correctly on the slope, you got a thumbs up. Head on over to the second screen. I want to know the Y-Intercept. Yes. So what you're going to do from our class Canvas page, so when you just click on the prime page for this class, you're going to scroll underneath my picture. And there's a big blue button underneath the Zoom link that says click here for today's lesson. You're going to click on that big blue button. That will take you to our daily page. You'll see a meme at the top, and then you'll scroll down underneath task number 1. There's going to be a link for period 3. When you click on that link for period 3, it will take you to Desmos. And then you can choose the option there to do continue without signing in, and that'll give you the option to put in your name at that point. Yes, you do need to answer the explain part. We want to talk about what it means in context. So first, make sure you get the right value. You get the thumbs up, or I think it's a green check mark if you get it correct. It's thumbs down if you get it wrong, and it's a green check mark when you get it right. Once you have the correct value, I'm on screen number 2. And Alex, if you need me to repeat that at all, please let me know. I know I went through that kind of fast. From the class homepage, big blue button. Once you press on the big blue button, it'll take you to our daily page. You're going to scroll down until you see the link for period 3. Once you click on that link for period 3, it will take you to Desmos, and then you'll just choose the option for continue without signing in. It's going to be a larger button towards the bottom. Once you click on that, it just lets you type in your name and click on go. All right, I'm going to grab a couple of these explanations. Definitely want to make sure that you are taking the time to explain in context. This is going to be a big part of this unit, is not only can you grab these pieces, but because we have a real world focus in this class, I don't just want to teach you the math, I want to teach you how you're going to use math outside of the classroom. So the explain part is super important. Not just what part of the equation is it, but what does it mean in the context here? All right, I'm going to pull up some of these explanations because I think they're fantastic. All right, so I've grabbed 4 of the explanations. Yes, I will be posting this on Canvas. The initial fee you pay before the 180 is charged per mile. You will initially, I like that, we got initial and initial. You will initially be charged $225 before traveling. The cost for a taxi at 0 miles, I love that. The cost for a taxi at 0 miles. The meaning of the Y-intercept is to represent the payment you initially have to pay. It does not have to continue to pay over time. Love this answer right here. So another way that you might think about this or conceptualize it, it's the pickup charge. Just calling a taxi and saying, hey, I want you to come and pick me up and take me to the airport. First, somebody's going to have to get into the car and drive all the way to you and pick you up. Just for that, there is a fee. That's that $225. Even though you haven't traveled anywhere in the car yet, you still have to pay them for coming to you and getting in the car. And then after that, you're going to pay $1.80 for every mile that you go after that. So they know that there's at least a minimum amount of money that they're going to make for going on this trip with you. Love, love, love some of the things we're seeing here. All right. Screen number 3. Screen number 3. If you are not there already, go ahead and hop over there. Are there any constraints for this scenario? So what I mean by constraints, are there any values for X or Y? In this case, it's M and T. Are there any values that wouldn't make sense? That if you were to substitute in a specific value for the M or the T, those X and Y values, it just doesn't make any sense when you think about it in the context of the problem. Think about all the different types of numbers we might be talking about or looking at. Alex, have you been able to figure out how to get in, or are you still getting stuck here? Are there any constraints? Are there any values for X or Y? In this case, it would be M or T that don't make sense in the context of the problem. I'm seeing a lot of really interesting things pop up as you guys are thinking through this. So I want to take just a moment and hit on some of these ideas. Awesome, Alex. I'm really sorry that you're having difficulties. This equation seems to be written in slope-intercept form. I could take this and I could rewrite it as y equals, instead of t equals, 1.80 x plus 2.25. And then I can see that a little bit easier. Here's the y-intercept that you guys identified and described. And here's the 180, the slope. Remember, that's the same thing as our rate of change. This is how much the total fee would change by for each mile. So one of the things that I saw show up in these explanations as far as constraints go is, what do these variables mean? The M and the T. M is in the same spot where X would be, and so that means it is my independent variable. We talked about independent and dependent last week. Why do you think they chose the letter M? Let me know in the chat. Why do you think they chose the letter M here? What do you think M is representing? It's $1.80 for each. Yes, these are the miles. They used M for miles instead of using X. So when we want to know what X or Y values don't make sense, when I'm asking about this one right here, what number for miles wouldn't make sense? Or is there a number for miles that wouldn't make sense? And then the capital T, what do you think the capital T represents? That would be our dependent variable, by the way. What do you think the capital T represents? If the M represents miles, and the 1.8 and the 2.25 represent dollars, what do you think the T represents? Good, I like it. Total amount paid. Or total money, total amount paid, yes. Or the amount that you're going to give the taxi company, yes. Malin, we are in a Desmos today. So from our class Canvas page, big blue button. Once that takes you to the daily page, scroll down until you see the link for period 3. And then do continue without signing in so that you can join us. We are on screen number 3 right now. So when I ask about the Y values that wouldn't make sense, What number or numbers for total money or total charge wouldn't make sense? That's what I want to know when I'm asking about constraints. Awesome, Malin, I see you in there now. So before you go on to screen number 4, tell me what values for miles and total money sounds good, Tristan. Are there any numbers for miles that just wouldn't make any sense? Are there any numbers for money that wouldn't make any sense? Okay, so there's a couple that I'm going to grab here and put up for us to look at. All right. So I'm going to look at this one first. This person chose not to use words, but to use equations here. And I love it. Right here, they put a negative number in for M. That would be negative miles. Well, if you have a taxi come and pick you up, you are not going to be traveling a negative number of miles. This person over here said M cannot be negative. I want to look at this for just a second. I like this idea that there are some values for T that wouldn't work or wouldn't make sense. But let's see if we could solve this and get something that actually might make sense in the context. This would leave me 75 cents, $1.80x, divide both sides by 180. If I grab my calculator, I get 0.416 repeating equals X, or in this case, that would be our miles. I don't think that most people would call a taxi if they only needed to go about a half a mile. But can you guys think of any type of situation where you might need a taxi to go a half a mile? Or any kind of individual, any specific kind of person that might be like, it's totally worth it to call a taxi for a half a mile? What do you guys think? If it's raining, Sydney, I love it. Remember, they're up in Chicago. This is about Chicago taxi companies. Chicago is known for their windy, cold winters. If it was raining and windy and freezing, if it's snowing, absolutely. Or I have a friend who used to live in Chicago, doesn't anymore, but she has difficulties walking long distances. She's not in a wheelchair, she doesn't have a walker, but she has some joint problems, so that walking even a half a mile would leave her in pain for the whole rest of the day. In her situation, if she needed to go a half a mile, I feel the same way. But I think there are certain people in certain situations. Or what about if it was like a mom with 3 young children? You're trying to get them all down the road and not get hit by cars. You might decide, like, it is totally worth my mental sanity right now to hire a taxi. We're going to all pile in and we're going to go to the grocery store, even though it's just a half a mile down the street. Different situations, but going a half a mile might make sense. I think this comment over here is really interesting. T cannot be less than 225. Why did this person say that? T cannot be less than 225. I agree with that, by the way. I do think that's a constraint here. Why is it not possible in this situation for the T value to be smaller than 225? What would we see happen if the T value was smaller than 225? Remember, what does the T mean again? We said that T meant total what? It's not my slope. Remember, the slope, the rate of change was that 180. No, not the X. The 180 is my slope. The 225 was the Y-intercept. Yeah, there we go. The fee is already going to be 225. You already paid for that when you asked the taxi to come and pick you up. So you can't possibly pay less than that if you're going to use the taxi. If we had something that was less than 225, say, for example, $2, and we tried to put that in the place of the total cost, what happens when I start to solve this for the number of miles? What would I see happen here? What would I get right over here? 2 minus 225. We have quite a few people in here. Yeah, you're going to get a negative number. Oops, wrong thing. If I take that negative number and I divide both sides by 180, 180 is a positive. This is going to be a negative number. I need to write that out a little bit better. Equals M, which is miles. But miles can't be negative. So we do have some constraints. Miles has to be some kind of positive number, something bigger than 0. If it's at 0, it doesn't make any sense. You called the taxi, you paid them $2.25, and then they drove away and you stayed on the sidewalk. and our t can't be less than 225. All right, I want to scoot ahead to screen number 5. Scoot ahead to screen number 5. We're going to look at a different equation now. This time I want to know the X-intercept and the Y-intercept. So you got two different values that I want you to sub in, or I want you to put in those boxes. If you think the X-intercept is 2 and the Y-intercept is 17, you're going to type those in, put both of them in, and then click submit. Oh, I got both of them wrong. When you get the green check marks, that means you got them correct. You can always type back in the box here and submit again. I'm just looking for a single number. I don't want a whole ordered pair in here. Just give me a single number for this right now. X-intercept and Y-intercept. Tell me what you think those mean in the context also. What are your X-intercepts and your Y-intercepts? So in those two boxes on the left, I want numbers, just a single value. Check your answers on the X-intercepts and Y-intercepts before you give me the meaning. So you want to get green check marks, no thumbs downs. Nice job, Malin. So Sydney, in the two boxes on the left, both of those are going to be numbers, one for the X-intercept, one for the Y-intercept. In the boxes over on the right is where you'll type in the meanings. Interesting. All right, let's talk about these. When we talk about an X-intercept on a graph, what will an ordered pair always look like for an X-intercept? Think about your X-axis. No matter where I put a dot on the X-axis, what will always be the same? Barry, I like your thoughts. Let's expound on that just a little bit. What will always be the same no matter where I put a dot on the X-axis? Think about what these ordered pairs would look like. What would stay the same? The Y would stay the same. Malin, what would the Y be on all of these? What is the Y value going to be on all of these? 0, yes. The Y value is going to be 0 on all of these because we're not going up or down at all. So it's going to be some number in here for the X, but the Y part is going to be 0. So I can find the Y-intercept by taking the 0 and putting it in the place of the Y right here and solving it for X. X plus, and I'm going to put 0 in the place of the Y, equals 100. If I take X and I add nothing to it, what do I get? Yeah. This right here is just going to be X equals 100. So that's what I want right down here. The X-intercept is 100. If I wrote it out as an ordered pair, it would be 100, 0. I want you to think about that now in terms of the Y-intercept. That ordered pair is always going to look like what? If I put different points along the Y-axis, what will stay the same about those? 0 for the X. That's right, because we're not going left or right at all. The 0 is going to stay in that X spot. And we're going to have some number in the place of the Y. So I can take the same thing that we did up above. I can take the 0, I can put it in the place of the X because that's always going to be in the X spot. And so I get Y equals 100. So my Y-intercept here is 100. That ordered pair would be 0, 100. What do you guys think the X and the Y mean in this situation? What do the X and the Y mean here? Read about what it's saying about the airline company. We have an X and a Y, and the total weight is 100 because it equals 100. What did they add together to get up to 100? Niles or Kyla or Mia? People I haven't heard from in just a minute. Amari, what do you think? Weight. Weight of what? I like that. What are we talking about here? The weight of what? What are they weighing? 100 pounds is my total. The bags, yes. These are my 2 bags. So X is 1 bag that you take on the airplane, and Y is the other bag. So the meaning of my X and Y intercepts, for the X intercept, 100, 0. If 1 bag weighs 100 pounds, how much can the other bag weigh? Yeah, the other must weigh 0 pounds. Because you're only allowed to have 100 pounds. So if one of the bags is 100 pounds, you don't get to take a second bag. My Y-intercept, if one bag weighs 0 pounds, how much can the other bag weigh? Yes. The other can weigh 100 pounds. Love it. Let's talk about the slope in this situation and then we'll call it a day. That was on screen 6. What is the slope here? What is the slope? I want a number. You can take this and put it in slope-intercept form. And then you would be able to see your slope right here. So what is our slope going to be? See, to get it in slope-intercept form, I would need to subtract x from both sides. I would have y equals negative x, and my 100 is a positive. So here's my y-intercept, and that matches what we said on the previous screen. What number is in front of the x? -1, yes. If I think about slope as rise over run, I would have -1 over 1. This would be down 1 and right 1. So the meaning of my slope is as one bag increases by 1 pound, what has to happen to the other? As one bag increases by 1 pound, what has to happen to the other bag? Yes, it must decrease by 1 pound. Awesome work today, guys. Absolutely fantastic. Let me get us back on our daily page here. Down at the bottom, I want you guys to practice with a single problem, graphing in context of same types of things that we were just talking about here in the Desmos. I want you guys to do that homework for tomorrow. And if you have any questions, either about the homework from the other day, from over the weekend that I, again, had you look at tomorrow. I'll have to look at tomorrow. Goodness, I'm not sick anymore, but my brain is still only half functioning. Homework number 2. If you have questions about that, please let me know. That one was due technically Monday morning, but I did give you guys yesterday to work on that as well with me being out. Homework number 3 is due tomorrow morning. If you have questions about that one, please get a hold of me. And I'm not quite sure what happened to our bells, but we are at the end of class. So you guys should probably move on to your 4th period class. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, guys. and I'll see you tomorrow.
See you, Miss Boat. Have a good day.
Absolutely. Tamari, I'm gonna get to those as quickly as I can.